Righto, part two of the staff conundrum, and when you've got underperforming staff, and what do you do about it? And I think this is super funny to talk about. I remember this guy called me one time, and he had two jobs, because we're going to talk red flags today. What are the red flags that you sort of miss as a younger, more optimistic person, and you pick up as an older, sort of wiser or more mature or sexier person, whatever you want to have. You want to skin that cat. It's all good. It's all good.
George Clooney.
Coloon dog. One of the red flags for me is that the person has had multiple jobs in quick succession. Now, not always. It's hard. You can't black and white rule something, but you can get a feel for someone. If they've spent their apprenticeship in 3 or 4 different locations and then moved on a couple of times, they came out of their time. I'll tell you what, someone's resume that's got 6 years at the one spot, to me, is a lot better. So there's a lot of importance about that. Not always, I would suggest, but a lot of times I think you'll find. Anyway, so this guy called from this guy one day, and he's like, I'm looking for an apprenticeship, and we needed someone. And sometimes you can think the trade gods just smile upon you. Thank you. Thank you, old trade god. I was reading my AS NZS 3000, aka the Bible, this morning, burnt some pages on the altar, and all of a sudden the trade gods call me or bless me with a call from this person. This person called me and gave him the trial. Probably missed a couple of warning signs in the trial. And then, but I think I was a bit older at that point. Maybe it got 2 or 3 weeks in. And and this is the important, I think, when you pull yourself back and be like, okay, this person's been here for 2 or 3 weeks, they've had 2 sick days, that trade doesn't want to work. They said they're not very good. This person came on, I think, mid-second year. So I think understanding where someone should be as a mid-second year. And I think we had a great, anyone that did their apprenticeship with us, I think they had a great, what do you call it, there's a great, sort of type of work. We were roughing in houses and high-end residential and commercial and then renovation. So there was certain, it wasn't uncommon for someone to come through first day and then they basically, all of a sudden they're at a duplex roughing and any roughing, and I think you start, upstairs power, which is pretty easy. Then you upstairs light, and then they'd come down, and they would be seeing 10 or 12 people on the site that day smashing it out, like Sparky smashing it out. So they get a clear understanding of what a day's work looks like. So you're looking at it going, okay, and the progression for us was, down upstairs power, upstairs lighting, then you go to downstairs power, then circuits, then TV and data, and then the last one for us when you've reached maximum enlightenment, was downstairs lighting, which is a bit more like a lot of the places we had. The plan was, not perfect as most plans, and sort of a bit more knowledge about planning and spacing and pendants and measuring, that kind of stuff. That was probably the creme de la creme, then onto the board. So that was a natural sort of trajectory. So it wouldn't be uncommon for our halfway through second or third years just to be way better than any tradie that has come through because of the style, the type of work, the training they've had. I'm still thinking, I think anyone that worked with us back then would attest, it was a solid crew. It was solid people doing solid work. It was a fun environment, and there was lots of good training. And so I think we're almost in demand. And when you're a company like that, people want to come and work for you, which is great because they chase you don't chase them. So, but when people chase you, you can also get lazy. So you can get lazy because people chase you for jobs, right? Anyway, so coming into that, this guy called me and he made a couple of things, 3 or 4 things in the first 2 or 3 weeks. And I remember oh, hey, it's not working out. I'm so sorry. It's not you, it's me. He's back to the drawing board. And his mum called me, and I think it was after the sick day where I basically said, all right, sweet, well, that's enough now. I've had enough. And I politely, of course, his mum called me and she was like, just give me another chance, please, please, please. And as much as I love mums calling me, which is top of the priority list, I was like, look, because she said, give me a chance. And I was like, look, to be honest, he had his chance. That was his chance. You don't get 2 chances at things in life. Sometimes you get 1 chance at, and you might have missed the boat. The ship has sailed now. Mm-hmm. And she was definitely upset with me, but I was like, I'm so sorry, but you know, he can't call in sick 3 times within 2 weeks. It's not a good look for us. And it was a really interesting thing for me to sort of like, the cream had risen to the top. My confidence had risen. So I've seen this before. I'm going to back it. That's a red flag. There's a couple of things here across that. 3 jobs. You've got 3 things in the first 2 or 3 weeks, or whatever it was, and now you've got a mum calling me, which is highly undesirable for a Tuesday AM, right?
Red flag.
Anyway, huge red flags. So going through the red flags. So what are some sort of red flags for you, Cam? You reckon in staff or?
Oh, I think
on that one or whatever.
Yeah, I think like I think there's obviously being on time is a big one. And I know, like, you bang on it, well, not bang on about, but like sort of if you're on time you're late sort of thing. To me, the being on time is a really big one, because it sets it's just, you know, it's an expectation that's required. So like being on time, I'm actually, I also sort of have a bit of a importance around the sort of your general appearance, like in the sense of not to say like you have to have this or you can't have that, but it's a general looking after yourself, in the sense of like your clothes are clean, like sort of thing, you know, you've got yourself together, you know. And that, because I look at it then like, righto, we're walking into a $4 to $5 million property that we've got to, you know, install these $1,000 light fittings above a $10,000 marble bench, above a $5,000 sink. You know what I mean? So I think like it's a correlation that flows down on it all. So the way that they appear has a impact, because the other thing too is they're representing you as a business. So they're representing the business as well. So it can be optics aren't everything, because I've had some.
You would have hated me as an apprentice. Hey, I was
had some wild dudes.
This nuts mullet, and then I did this hot cross bun, like some mohawk with like a.
Oh no! See, that stuff doesn't really.
Kind of like taking a piss, but I remember it being but I combined that with being actually really good at my
job. So that stuff doesn't bother me. It's more just around like the general, because if you you know, I put together, like, it's just, I think it's a care, like you're caring, because you're going in somewhere, it's like, hey, there's that, and I think that's the thing that often gets lost a bit of the time, is that we might just be doing that light fitting, but what's under that light fitting? And, we just might be moving around the floor, we just might be moving the ladder around the floor, but what are we moving around on?
I'm literally like, I'm pretty fresh to Instagram. I've taken over our socials, and people just put up like stuff, and are you serious? Like they're working over someone's bed with no drop sheet, and I'm just like, like you would have got fired in our company for that. like you can't do that stuff, you know. So I was a massive believer, walking with the drop sheet first. But funny story, I remember my hair was, you know, always a little bit rogue. And then I remember this builder coming in when I was putting this exhaust grill in this bathroom. And he goes, and my head was like touching the ceiling. And he was like, "Is that hair clean or what?" It was so funny. He was actually a total legend. But I think when someone's good at their job, I think everyone respects.
That stuff. But so like, there's those sorts of things. I think the way they get on with the colleagues is really important. So obviously the way that they're able to communicate and work with, because there's a difference between everyone wanting to work with you and no one working with you. So that obviously is a massive thing.
Coming on that as well, touching on that too, you know, I feel like everyone's got to learn to deal with everyone's personalities in life. So it's like, if people are struggling, I don't want to work with that person because of this, like, you've got to be able to resolve those issues as a human. And if there's a personality clash and it's coming from the one person, so let's say Cody doesn't want to work with 3 people because of the personality clash or sensitivity or whatever, it's like, okay, well, you're going to now put Cody in a position where he's in front of your clients, or she's in front of your clients. And that's like, are they going to be able to get along with them? Because you're dealing with people, a lot of your clients a lot of times are dealing in high pressure situations, so they've got mortgages, they've got construction loans, they've got something in commercial they've got to get over the line before a certain date for production. So a lot of times you're dealing with people, like the worst part of, not the worst part of people, but people under stress, which can bring out the worst in people. So whoever's on your team better have a good temperament and better be able to see, better be able to not be reactive and better be able to get along with different personalities, because it's like, you know, you can, everyone can hang the pendant light and put the three-phase outlet in and program the VSD. All right, maybe not everyone can program the VSD, but you get the gist. I don't know how to do that, but you get the gist. But like, but people remember how they feel. Was the invoice correct? Or, you know, no one cares how good you are if you're rude. So if you got a staff member who's being rude to your other staff members or to your clients, whoa, knock the microphone. That's how passionate I'm getting. If you're getting rude, like you can't build on that. That's not okay. And a lot of the times the red flags come up before the giant red flag happens. So yeah, I want to encourage everyone. Also, a good reference is, how do you feel about the people, you know, the good people, when it's like, oh, I love working with that person. Everyone's got someone in the company like, oh, yeah, bozo. Yeah, love that guy. And then, so how do you feel about that? You probably love going to work with him or her. And but so reference that or cross-reference that to someone you don't like going to work with. So a lot of times the feeling, the gut feel, I think you said it before, the gut feel is like, well, you don't have that for everyone. It's just for this person. And maybe if you look at it, you can be like, okay, that person, I didn't used to have it, but I've got it now. Okay, what's going on? Okay, young family, haven't been sleeping, newborn baby, they're going through something. Okay, let's have some understanding, bring some grace to the zone. But criticism's like the highest form of compliment in my head. If someone's going to actually take the time to constructively criticize how you can do something better, that's the kind of company you want to be. Have you thought about doing it this way? Like, I think if we can embrace the criticism and go like, it's not negative, it's actually a positive. We're building culture here. I would challenge, in fact, that culture can't be built without criticism, because you've got to know what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. And to work out what's unacceptable, you need to lift that to a standard of acceptable. And that's going to involve some constructive criticism. Gets a bit of a dirty word, like the who, like ego is not a dirty word. Criticism, I would challenge, is not a dirty word. It's not a bad word, but if you can bring that to be like, hey, well, we're all fighting for excellence here, because the better we get at our job, usually the better staff we attract, usually the better clients we attract, usually the more money we can make. Right, so that's really challenging for me. Another thing is your clients are starting to challenge you. I think is a huge one. A big red flag is not challenge, but maybe your client's like, oh, you know, yeah, you rough-ins next week or fit-offs next week, but you know, maybe just don't bring Jimmy. maybe just said, oh, cool, like, you know, I think you got to listen to that and don't be too busy for that. Slow down to speed up. Doesn't matter how much work you're getting through if the work is of a poor quality, or if the people paying for that work don't want to use you again. So it's like sometimes we go so fast, we brush over those conversations. Or I remember sending this one, the schedule was a bit light, and I remember sending 2 tradies and an apprentice to this person's house, which probably did need 2 tradies and an apprentice, but this is cost plus job at that point. Yeah. And I think you've got to handle every cost plus job like you would a quota job. It's not fair otherwise. And I was like, it's probably fair, but I probably could have communicated it a little bit better. Client called me, oh, hey, look, like, I'm just not comfortable. It's too much, you know, it's just too much going on this week. Can we just have tradie apprentice? And I was like, yeah, sweet, of course. But I could have communicated that a lot better. But I think you've got to listen to the clients when they call things out. They're a lot more savvy than you think they are. And also, like, I was quite fortunate at that point. The client was home on those 2 days or 3 days or 1 day, whatever it was. But had I just worked for 2 weeks and sent a bill, client would be like, what the hell? Obviously, it's relevant to how much work you got through and the quality of that work, but just things to consider, I think. And I think when someone's doing a lot of similar mistakes, it's like we can't ignore the elephant in the room, which is the dog keeps returning to its vomit. And I was like, sweet. Well, we might need to challenge that. So, and also like, the benchmark. So knowing where someone should be at, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, a couple of years out of a tradie. I see too many people think that their 22-year-old tradie should be a 30-year-old. And I think, like, don't you reckon? Yeah, like...
What do you mean you can't run that high rise?
yeah, but like, I reckon I hit my straps around 30, with really confident, seen enough of everything to know what I can and can't do, to know my capabilities. But too many people are seeing these like, oh, that person's like this, they're just not thriving. And it's like, the guy's 23.
Yeah, I think there's definitely different stepping stones along the way of what people are capable of and what they can and can't do. And you also need to recognise sometimes you just need to surround the right people with the right people as well.
Good.
So like if you have, like, you could have like a really capable 25-year-old, for example, tradie who's been out for, just as long as he was in his apprenticeship for. But if you load him up with like a first year and a third or fourth year who are maybe average, it's going to place a lot of pressure on that person to get the outcomes that you're looking for. Whereas if you go like, hey, we've got you a tradie and we've got you a capable third or fourth year and we've got you a fresh first year as well, then it changes the dynamic, because the responsibility of everything being on them releases, so they can concentrate on executing the job while the other tradie can ensure that the job is getting done as well. So like there's a capability sense. So I think it's surrounding the right people with the right people has an impact on the way you go about things. And I think like one thing I think that probably people don't notice a lot of the time, and probably finish on this, is that I think sometimes, how are you going as a business owner? Like if you're starting to get very short and sharp with people potentially, so potentially clients, or you're acting irrationally, or you just screw them, they can just pay that, like, I don't care, that just is what it is. I think you're doing probably things that you might be like, let's just deem it probably a little bit out of character. There could be some kind of pressure happening there that could generally be potentially to do with your staff maybe. So it could be like you're unhappy with something, or not, or it's not the right team that you have, and you're creating all these issues are being created, and you end up being the, I guess, backstop basically, and everything's just flowing towards you. So often, sometimes the way you're reacting to things can also be the flag that can sort of tip, I guess, tip the scales in a way. And I think probably on that too is that it's okay to recognize that and be like, oh, hey, we need to mix it up. We need to change things up a little bit. And it might be, hey, we need to drop some people, or we need to add some new people, like whatever it is, it's okay to recognize that.
100%. And I think like, it's the whole, I'm on a plane, although no one listens to the people, like you put your life jacket on first. Mm-hmm. And then you can take, if you're taking care of yourself, you can take care of others. So make sure your cup's getting filled up, and then you can in turn pour the overflow into others, into your business. But all right, that's round 2. Red flags and stuff, don't ignore them. Embrace what you're feeling, back your gut, chat to some good people, get some good people around you, get some good staff around you. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.